Formica. Under the current budget, the state budget that we're in now, Waterford took a big hit with a $1 million cut, I believe, in state education cost-sharing funds. It's the biggest cut in the region. East Lyme also saw a cut, though not as steep. Was this a case of a freshman center being asleep at the switch that we saw these kind of cuts in our area?
No, I think this was a case of the majority being asleep at the switch and allowing the economy to deteriorate over the last 6 years, even in spite of having two largest tax increases in our history, and then continuing on unable to fund not only education here in the 20th District, but those most vulnerable are suffering at the hands of this budget. I don't know that I was asleep at the switch. I worked very hard to make sure that we got the funding here in the 20th District, both to the magnet schools and to the public school system around the district. It was just a cut that in our Republican budget we restored, and we had all of those ECS cuts restored, as well as the money to some of the other items that was cut out of the budget.
Just 30 seconds on this, just to clarify. So ultimately the money was returned? Is that, Waterford did not get a cut this year?
No, Waterford did get a cut.
Okay.
Waterford did get a cut. But
all right.
as I said, I worked very hard and was very diligent up there, to try to keep sense with what was going on in this very difficult budget environment that
all right, thank you.
Had limited input in.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Henowitz, you have up to 90 seconds to either respond to the situation we saw at funding to this district under the ECS, or your comments on the ECS in general, if you so choose, up to 90 seconds.
So I think clearly we need to fight to try and get that education funding back to the district. But I also think, too, of where we cannot just blame everything that went wrong in this legislative cycle on the Democratic Party and on the governor. It's the fact of we elect senators and representatives to represent our district and to fight for our interests. If an individual is not being able to fight for that interest, then they are not providing the benefit to the district that they claim that they were going to do.
Anything further, Senator? Up to 30 seconds.
Thank you very much. Well, the fact of the matter is we have a one-party rule up there, and there was not room for conversation for our leadership to share and negotiate on these ideas that were moved forward. So that, I think, is the biggest thing we can change in Hartford. Let's get a Republican majority in at least one of the chambers so that we can guarantee seats at the table so conversation like this happens. And when you have, the Friendship School, for example, suffered a large cut just some years after it was built. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
All right, the next question is to Mr. Henowitz, and it's from Tim Cotter.